mid-morning. Let us explore how to get out of your head. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you are looking for. This morning, we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two, but first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as profoundly as Ahsoka Tano on Lothal, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. If at any point during this morning's live stream you have a question about Buddhist meditation, philosophy, or even chanting, there is no need to be shy. Simply type your question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. Oops, that's what we call an error. Excuse me. This morning on Reddit, Aromatic Stable asked, "How can I live within the body?" And then this individual elaborates. I read today that human beings used to think and live within their bodies before they started to do that in their heads. For people who decode this, how did you do it? For a simple example, how can I tell if the body is asking for this type of food? How can I differentiate and tell if it was the mind who's craving or the body? Is it possible to let the body lead and use the mind only when necessary? So far, a mind-led life isn't so pleasant. Okay, so let's explore this. In order to understand, oh, that's what I'm missing. Okay, I gotta set up my side monitor. Please bear with me. Okay, the side monitor is go. So for this to make sense, I need to give you some background. When we read the 81 poems of the Tao Te Ching, it becomes clear that there is yang and there is yang. And contrary to popular belief, the author of this text, his thesis was always choose yin. So let's elaborate for a moment. What are some of Yang's attributes? When we are in a Yang mode, usually living from our underbrain, we tend to be rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, competitive, and consequently cruel. However, when we choose to traverse the path of Yin, excuse me, we tend to be more flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, cooperative, and kind, which is much better. So the person asking the initial question might have had the best of intentions, but because they were indoctrinated in a yang-oriented society, some of their questions reveal controlling tendencies. Now, that is par for the course and by no means meant as an insult. So today's primary meditation is going to bring us into the body. And as a result, it will help us to feel much more flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, cooperative, and kind. Now, There is an attribute you probably heard of on a commercial called neuroplasticity. And what that means is the mind changes. So when we do one exercise, our nervous system shifts one way. When we stop doing that exercise, it shifts another way, kind of like a sine wave, also known as a carrier wave. So we're not trying to force the body and brain to do a specific thing. That would be relying upon our controlling tendencies. But by playing with these exercises, the body will, in a very short period of time, be less yang and more yin. Anyway, so this morning's practice is designed to help us do that, to be wind up more yin and less yang. Now, the person who crafted the question used the term head and body, and that might describe how things feel and how things seem, but not really how things are. But I respect where they're coming from, and I'll try to help them get to where they want to go. Probably not where they want to go literally, but where they want to go physically. So let's do that. Before we jump in, I'm going to take 1 minute for housekeeping. Every day I live stream 4 meditation classes without any advertisements, health permitting. With your assistance, this channel could come to help support the next generation of nuns, monks, yogis, lamas, and even brick-and-mortar meditation centers, each replete with a resident teacher and their apprentice. If this speaks to you, feels like a good idea, simply use your smartphone's camera to capture this QR code. Or if you're old school, scroll down and click one of the donation links in the description area below the video. But please remember, these are optional. They are not mandatory. You are welcome to attend class, ask questions, and download stuff from the website if that pleases you, with no obligation to give me any money or any email addresses whatsoever. This is it. I don't have seminars I'm selling. I don't have books I'm selling. I'm just giving this stuff away. So an easy way to get in our body is to coalesce our subtle energies within our central channel. And we can do that by cupping our palms in front of our chest while performing a Chinese invocation of the Bodhisattva of compassion. Nam Quan Chi Yin Pu Sa, 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 Nam Quan Chi Yin Pu Sa. Nam Quan Chi Yin Pu Sa, 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 Namo Quan Shin Pusa. Now let's chant the Heart Sutra. Vinumala Girishvara Bodhisattva. While practicing the deep practice of Prajnaparamita. That word translates as wisdom's perfection. Looked upon the five skandhas and seeing they were empty of self-existence. We're going to use this term empty several times in this text. What do we mean? Well, from a literal point of view, if we take it literally, we'll wind up either getting stuck in skullduggery or blind faith. I don't recommend either. I recommend viewing emptiness not literally, but figuratively. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during the previous inhalation could now feel as if it was as non-graspable, you guessed it, as a vast, empty void. Now, any fourth grade teacher will tell you that a simile is only as good as it is relatable. So, what's a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although could be tantalizing to the eye, is actually non-graspable to the hand? There you go. Emptiness as a metaphor for the non-graspability we are wired to experience to a certain degree during each exhalation. Let's continue. Satyashari Pundra form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not separate from form, form is not separate from emptiness. Whatever is form is emptiness, whatever is emptiness is form. The same holds for sensation and perception, memory and consciousness. Whoops, let's fix that bad boy. So as you probably guessed, we chant in a monotone, emphasizing only the first vowel and the second to last vowel of each couplet or each triplet. Let's continue. Hishari Pudra Dhamma so defined by emptiness, not by birth or distraction, purity or defilement, completeness or deficiency. Therefore, Shari Putra, in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, no perception, no memory, and no consciousness. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, and no mind. No shape, no sound, no smell, no taste, no feeling, and no thought. No element of perceptions from eye to conceptual consciousness. No causal link from consciousness to old age and death. No end of causal link from consciousness to old age and death. No suffering, no source, no relief, no path, no knowledge, no attainment, and no non-attainment. So what's the business of all these no's? Well, we're saying this, there's nothing you can perceive that you cannot release, at least in part. That's it. Therefore, Shariputra without attainment, Bodhisattvas take refuge in Prajnaparamita, and live without the wall of the mind. Through the practice of the perfection of wisdom that notices and releases, we are freed from the tyranny of our own the present self, our own limitations, our own rigidity. Without the walls of the mind, and thus without fears, they see through delusions and finally accomplish nirvana. All Buddhas, past, present, and future, also take refuge in Prajnaparamita and realize unexcelled perfect enlightenment. You should therefore know the great mantra Prajnaparamita, the mantra of great magic, the unexcelled mantra. So, just as the word emptiness and the word no is being used figuratively, so is the word mantra. What we're saying is the practice of noticing and releasing is as amazing as the world's most powerful magic mantra. The mantra equal to the unequal, which heals all suffering and true non-false. The mantra in Prajnaparamita is spoken thus. Gate gate pada sangate buddhi swaha. And so that could be translated as, may I so practice awareness and release that I go, completely and perfectly go to enlightenment. So before we get into the interesting details of contemplation and meditation, let's start with the actual mechanics that pull us metaphorically out of our head and into our body. That's only a figurative thing. We need our brain to breathe and for our heart to pump. So please don't lob off your head with a big old samurai sword. So allow me to take a moment to insult your intelligence. We breathe in, we breathe out. If during our inhalation we silently and mentally recite in deep gut, and if during our exhalation we silently and mentally recite out nostrils, we'll feel like we are metaphorically in our body. Now, please do not mistake this for concentration. Remember, concentration and rigidity are bedfellows. We don't want that. We want a different bed. We want the bed with flexibility and being flexible and being laid back. That's what we want. So, our minds have evolved to notice things, to notice emotion, intention, thoughts, memory, imagination, to notice sight, scent, sound, flavor, and sensation. To notice the inner and the outer, the physical and the mental, the pleasurable and the painful, the interesting and the boring, the glorious and the grotesque. We are wired to notice that. There's nothing wrong with noticing that. As long as we physically relax as best we can during each exhalation, then what we notice during our inhalation cannot harm us, figuratively speaking. Obviously, if there's a crazy person with a gun taking aim at you, they can hurt you. But not just a mere thought, not just a mere perception. So you can be perceptive and still be spiritual, I assure you. So when we say deep gut, we mean the lower abdomen south of the navel. Some Chinese American teachers describe that as the lower cauldron or the lower dantian. Some Japanese American teachers refer to that as the hara, same area, deep gut. So as we breathe in, so in deep gut, out nostrils. Let's play with this right now. Sitting with your legs crossed upon a folded yoga blanket. Sitting with your tush comfortably upon a circular meditation cushion, known as a zafu. Sitting as tall as you comfortably and sustainably can. On the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you'll notice a phrase, first collection of 16 sets of 16 rounds. How do we do that? Consider, if you will, your left hand. So a round is an in-breath and an out-breath. It's a set of two, a set consisting of an in-breath and an out-breath, that's a round. So during each in-breath, we can move the tip of our our left thumb, so that it touches our little fingers, lower set of creases, middle set of creases, higher set of creases, and tip. And that's how we count to 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now, of course, that was high speed. You want to do it in harmony with your breathing. How fast do you breathe? You let your body decide that. Now, how do we count multiple sets of 16 on our right hand? First set of 16 rounds. When we begin working on our second set, we advance our right thumb. When we begin working on our third set, again, we advance our right thumb. So by counting 16 sets of 16 rounds, you're collecting 256 rounds, which is a wonderful timekeeping device, which means we're less dependent upon our smartphones or a timer, or if you want to go Iron Age, a stick of incense. Some sticks of incense burn for 20 minutes, so if you have 3 unlit burnt sticks of incense, and you lit 1 stick, and then when that burns down, you light 2 sticks, and then when that burns down, you burn 3 sticks. That's an very old-fashioned way of timekeeping. But it means you have to have tchotchkes. It means you have to have incense and ventilation and a flame. So just counting on your creases is great, because you can do it anywhere, even in solitary confinement, in the pitch black. Not that I would wish that on anybody. But we're living in a difficult time for human rights. So although we want the best, it's good to be prepared for the worst. Aha. I found you, Lentil. Okay. Let's continue. Now that we're comfortable with the mechanics, we can play with contemplations. You'll notice I've named this not Easy Meditations Zen, but Easy Meditations Proto-Zen. Sort of like the proto-molecule in the Sci-Fi Channel's Expanse. What's that all about? Well, in this day and age, there are two very popular schools of Zen, or Chan, depending upon which country you live in. In one of those schools, they don't use any contemplations whatsoever. In the other school, they use really cryptic and opaque contemplations. But what about Bodhidharma? This is the bloke who, according to legend, is largely responsible for bringing Mahamudra meditation from India to China and causing it to flourish there. The teaching text, Outline of Practice, is attributed to Bodhidharma. And I've drawn today's 4 contemplations from that text that was translated by a fellow named Red Pine, and it's available for folks on Amazon. So we're going to play with rhetorical questions, which is a wonderful way of sidestepping the rigidity of belief. Because by definition, we don't have to answer a rhetorical question, we just ask it. We recite it silently and mentally, in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation and our relaxation. We play with this question not to reveal a deep metaphysical truth, but just to help us get better and better at letting go. The first thing we're going to let go of is the universal propensity for angry victimhood. We've all been victimized. We've all have legitimate reasons to be angry, but that anger seldom serves us. So we play with this question. Our second rhetorical question, how striving increase stress, helps us to let go of our controlling tendencies. Our third rhetorical question helps to free us from the tyranny of labels. Our fourth and final rhetorical question helps to free us from selfishness, helps us to let go of selfishness. How could I free all beings? Free all beings from what? Not from the presence of the 3 mental poisons, not from the presence of hating, craving, and clinging, but from their tyranny. A mature practitioner can be aware of those three mental poisons without their choices or utterances or deeds being controlled by them, not through the doomed strategy of self-control and repression, but through the prajnaparamita of noticing and releasing. And so now we see the four contemplations written out above our primary meditation of notice this relaxing. So there are times when our brain will feel very active. That's not a flaw. That's a feature. When our brain is active, that's a great time to play with these four exercises. When our brain no longer feels active, then we can relax in the nature of mind. And that's a great opportunity to train that way. So contemplation is not a remedy, it's just active training. Meditation is not a goal, it's just passive training. That's all. So let's take a deeper dive at this meditation. Every time we breathe in, we are wired by evolution to access our sympathetic nervous system, which perceives vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Every time we exhale, we are wired by evolution to access our parasympathetic nervous system, which is wired to both physically relax and mentally release. To help us with the sensory acuity, during each inhalation we silently recite, notice this. During each exhalation we train and release by silently and mentally reciting, relaxing. If you feel the need to label, allow me to assure you that the most powerful label you can use is simply the pronoun this. Whoops. Twitchiness, eh? Okay. Let's dig in. There are many people who would say, I don't want to use words. It's spiritually unproductive. But when we read the earliest meditation manuals attributed to the Buddha, they are consisting of words that we recite silently and mentally to ourselves in harmony with our inhalations and exhalations. That is central to the Buddha's path. Remember, just because something's difficult doesn't make it better. I'm not interested in prolonging people's journey to enlightenment. I want to make it just as easy and swift as possible. Hence, words we silently recite to ourselves, silently and mentally, in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation and our relaxation. Now let us seal our practice with 4 wishes, beginning with universal liberation. May I, like the Buddha, master the Eightfold Path as well as liberate others. And now kind ethics. May all beings practice of kind communication, contact, and calmness flow spontaneous and uncontrived. And now auspicious rebirth. May each being take auspicious rebirth, master the Buddha's path, and then help all others do likewise. And now let us conclude with the 4 immeasurables. May everyone be free from stress, may everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. If you feel I have earned it, type something in the chat window, give this live stream a thumbs up, and share it on social media. In approximately 2.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead this afternoon's meditation. May you and yours be happy and healthy, and if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.